and Bowling Green. We've just received word that 2 inmates have escaped from the Warren County Regional Jail Work Release Program. Alan Roach, age 32, also known as Country Twang, and Brad Davis, age 25, also known as Lil Round, are believed to be in the southern Kentucky, northern Tennessee region. If you know of the whereabouts of the escaped inmates, you are urged to contact the Kentucky State Police.
Sipping on some shine, sip, sip, sipping on some shine, sip, sip.
Backroads of America and live from the G&D Show studio, this is your GhostMan and Demon Hunter show.
Doesn't that sound exciting to you?
Listeners around the world, welcome back to the mystifying Oracle of Radio, your Ghostman and Demon Hunter show for some Sunday Night Madness, baby! Huh? What do you think? Sunday Night Madness?
Huh?
You're not excited, huh? You're not feeling good about it?
Boiling on the inside. That's
You're
right.
boiling on the inside. Well, I am excited because we got a great guest tonight. It's another beautiful Sunday. It's been a great day, guys, and we are back live in studio. The one, the only, the Ghostman and Demon Hunter show. Hello, hello.
You know, brother, you're always like, aren't you excited? Aren't you excited? I feel it's my job to anchor us because, you know, you come on, the energy's so high, and people are listening, and they're like, wow, this is a high energy show. And then I come in, and I'm kind of the smooth underside there, the anchor, and they go, oh, but there's going to be some heaviness to this too.
Some heaviness. I wouldn't say smooth. I would say lame. Lame. Oh, that's great. So what'd you do today? Did you have any fun? I had a great day today.
Make fun of the cripple. I see how it is.
Yeah, I know.
Lame. I get it. No. Fun? No, I did not have fun today.
Didn't do anything.
I worked all day long, and I got texts from you all day, from you sending me texts of all the fun you were having.
Yeah.
And, no, I did not have fun. Occasionally, I'd pick up the text, and I'd say, oh, he's having so much fun. I hate him.
Well, I always am happy when you're out having fun. That's
You are not.
But we did went on a little G&D mission today, chasing down some legends and stuff out here in the great Hoosier State. That's about all I want to say about that. But it was a good day. We went to I did go past.
I got to enjoy 5 minutes of it. Sean got to enjoy the whole day.
Yeah. Well, I did go past Mound State Park, and there were some really cool things out there. And if you guys don't know about Mound State Park here in Indiana, the mounds are all over the Ohio Valley. And nobody's really sure, Nathan, what these things are. Now, I'm not going to say these are some kind of amazing things. You're going to see them and just come unglued, because I just can't say that. I mean, these are, to me, it's impressive because nobody seems to know what they are. They found bones. They think they're burial mounds. They think sacrifices were done. They think all these different things. But the fact of the matter is, you go out there and they look like a little bit larger than medium-sized hills. You know what I'm saying? They got trees growing in them, and because these are dated back to BC times.
And they've been worn down over the years.
Mm-hmm. But they had some cool stuff out there, some cool legends, and you know how we do. So we went out there. I don't know if I could. I guess there's no problem with talking about it, right?
Talking about what?
Yeah, just about the legends and stuff out there at the.
I don't know. I mean, we might need that for a Legend X episode one night.
Yeah, that's true. We might need that for a Legend X. But
it's tough for us to find good stories to tell these people.
It is. We got to.
They will be able to find out when they hear which one we have tonight.
we got a good one tonight. You brought that up, and I said, "Oh, hi! You hit gold with that."
I do my best.
Well, I enjoyed it. Thoroughly. But yeah, man, we went out there, and the thing about it was, I'm not a great outdoorsman. You guys might come as a shock to you, but I'm not a huge outdoorsman. I don't enjoy sleeping outdoors. I don't necessarily. Huh?
Why not?
Well, I don't necessarily enjoy, relieving myself outdoors. Number one is okay. Number two, a little uncomfortable. You know what I mean?
Tough to find the leaves that don't leave you itchy.
Well, yeah, and we were walking down these trails, and I had the kids with me, and so I'm trying not to get lost. So they got this map, and we're following this around, real cool park, way back and we go down these trails, and the kids say, "Hey, Dad, come down here and look at the river." So I kind of stray off the path, and I see this other path, this smaller path. Everybody sees them. And it runs across right by the river. It's kind of spooky. I mean, you look down there and the trees are all sleepy, Sleepy Hollow style. They're all standing around. Well, of course, the trees, they were standing. But anyway, they were all there, and the kids were there, and they said, "Dad, let's go down. Let's go explore this." So I went down there, and
because kids are always super brave when Dad is with them.
Oh yeah. So we went down there, and I'm like, "All right, this is cool." And it came to a point where we were at the came to the river. And it opened up, and it was, how it is. Some of these parks, you got to really go down there in the pits to find, some cool stuff. And so anyway, I went down in there, and all of a sudden it opened up, and it was a huge clearing that I'm sure nobody had been to in a very long time. And I thought, wow, I'm glad I'm down here. And we're talking, and the kids are throwing rocks in the water and everything. We actually, the water was down a little bit, so we walked out on the rocks. You could see the fish and whatever. The kids are busy. So we walk out there, and all of a sudden, we hear, it's hard because there's people off in a distance. This little trail was kind of far out there, but at a park, sound tends to travel and stuff like that. And we heard what sounded like a growl, or it could have been somebody screaming. I don't know. But regardless, we're in a dark, shadowy type covering out in the middle of a trail that I had never been to, and all of a sudden I start hearing this growl. Exactly, and I'm going, oh my God.
Let's look at this.
Huh?
Some skepticism. Let's look at it from the Scully side. What kind of Yeah, let's not look at it from the Mulder side. Let's look at it from the Scully side.
Well, hold on now. Let me finish my story.
No.
So anyway, we pushed through. Devin's freaking out though. My oldest son. He's, oh, Dad, we gotta. I said, calm down. Because let's face it, if it is a Bigfoot attack, it'd be very quick. It'd be very quick. Thank you, exactly. And
you can throw one of them at the Bigfoot, the rest of you can get away.
Mm-hmm. Devin be the first to go. If we had to hide out in the woods, Bigfoot would have killed us. Because he's flipping out and he's saying, Dad. So we're in the middle of this trail. I have no idea where we're at. I just thought we'd take a nice little stroll. I'm going to go back. There's a trail. You follow the trail. So we start following this trail, man. And anyway, long story short, we must have walked 3 miles. And then we had to walk 3 miles back because we got lost. I kept saying, no, kids, just listen. Stay on the trail and we'll get back to the park main headquarters. Or what. No, Dad was wrong. So,
you were walking into a Stephen King novel there, man.
I was, man. I escaped with my life. Barely escaped with my
no more doing that on Sundays, because if you're gonna walk out and get yourself killed, I need at least a day to let the guest and the listeners know that there won't be a show.
Well, yeah, I mean, our guests would be happy about it. They'd be like, yeah, like a lady.
It's that like a bullet.
Yeah.
Oh, it's but let's look at this. Like I said, like Scully, what kind of animals are in that park?
Well, see, here's what you got to look at. Native to Indiana, out that way, you have the Indiana bobcat, if you will. Okay. And you have the, not a wolverine, badgers. Yeah, badgers. And squirrels, deer.
Well, they're not growling.
Lots of spiders, and of course, Bigfoot.
Growl. I got bit by a nasty spider today. So,
Did you really? How'd you get bit by a spider today?
I got bit by a spider. I figure it's either going to kill me or I'm going to have superpowers.
You're going to have superpowers. I can feel it.
I hope so.
Where did it bite you at? Was it any? Can you tell us where?
Actually, it bit me between my thumb and my forefinger, so it was nothing bad.
How does something bite you between your thumb and your forefinger?
I don't know. I was walking, and all of a sudden I felt something crawl onto my arm, and I brushed it off, and I didn't think anything of it. And a few minutes later, I'm like, wow, my hand hurts. And I looked down, and it was all swollen, and...
Wow. So they technically you
don't have what they call the social skill.
A spider bit you on your hand while you're walking. So I always feel spiders when they're on me.
Now there's barking spiders, but no growling spiders. Are there any bears in that park?
No, none to talk of. I don't think there's any bears. I mean, that would be a huge story. It's in Anderson, Indiana.
And his children eaten by bears.
Eaten by bears. You'd definitely hear Devin still screaming about it. He would.
Coyotes, foxes.
He'd be the first to go.
That's what Ghost was asking in the chat room.
Coyotes. Oh yeah, coyotes and foxes.
But coyotes.
Who's the smart aleck in the chat room? Thinks they know everything. Who's the know-it-all? I'm kidding. That's our whole G&D
nation. You come out here to the East Coast, especially the Northeast. The coyotes are getting brave. They're getting closer and closer to people.
Well, yeah, you're taking away their natural habitat, if you will.
Well, to heck with them. It's mine now.
No, it's all yours, huh?
Yeah.
Well, what are you going to do? I don't think a fox would be growling. I mean, I don't know.
Foxes, man, when they scream, it sounds like an inhuman spirit. It really does. It's I was in my apartment one night, or actually I was here at the house, right outside the haunted woods of Danbury.
Danbury, yeah.
And there I was sitting in my underwear, like we usually do.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I heard this. It sounded like a woman being raped.
Oh my God.
I grabbed a pistol and I ran outside, and here I am in a pair of sneakers and my boxer shorts, running into the woods because I hear this screaming. And all of a sudden, a fox pops his head up over a rock and going, "Dude, I'm getting lucky here,"
Oh my God. Yeah.
So I yelled at him and I went back to keep it down, and I went back home and crawled back into bed. But those foxes, when they're getting busy, they have a scream like you would not believe.
I'm ready for sex.
All I heard was you were sitting around your boxer shorts, and I ran out and said...
Why did that part excite you the most?
I don't know. I heard boxer shorts and said... I see. Do you still sit around your boxer shorts?
Of course. I'm a grown man. I can do that if I want to.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can. I can't... I guess it'd be fun. Maybe I should do it more. I don't...
I thought you still did the show in your boxers.
No, I'm naked when I do the show.
Oh, okay.
Why would I put on clothes?
I have a little modesty.
Get on top of me.
Right. Well, I don't know. But anyway, we went out there to the park, and I could have been a fox and everything, but I like to think, like I said, Bigfoot's native to Indiana. I mean, it's one of those states, and it sounded like a full frothy type, kind of thing. So it sounded more like a Jeep spinning its tires, but with
you went out
with a gurgling growl.
Wound up squatching.
I did. I ended up going squatching with the kids. We even picked up sticks, Demon Hunter. This just in. It was the first time I ever went Yeti hunting. We took the... wait a second. Is it Yeti? It is Yeti, right? Or is that the snow beast?
That's snow monster.
Okay, snow. Okay. So it wasn't Yeti. It's big feet. So... yeah, it was first time GhostMan and his little ghost people went out, and we had the limbs, we're banging on the trees, and no response. No response.
He didn't bang back?
He didn't bang back. He might have been banging.
There was no knocking from the apartment next door?
It was going on in the middle of the day.
No banging from the apartment next door?
I don't know. There was a lot of pretty girls out there jogging. They could have been out, and took off to the side.
You never know. They might have met somebody, and you get some growling going on.
You don't know, man. Parks can turn into a weird place real quick, man. It can.
It's not safe to take your kids to the park anymore.
It's not. You gotta. Exactly. You gotta watch out for everybody because weirdos, folks, they're everywhere. There's two of them right here on the radio show that you tune into.
One of them in the park today.
That you turn into every week. But yeah, that's my story, man. I thought it was important. I went squatching, like you said, and
I didn't go squatching this week. I did go. You've noticed I've been going to a lot of fairs lately.
Yeah, you have been doing some crazy stuff.
I enjoy going out and seeing people, and there was a time when Sean and I would get to go to events and get to go to conferences and things like that, and we'd meet people there, and they'd know who we were, and after a while you start thinking, I'd like to go somewhere where people don't know me.
Right.
And that's when, remember you and I went to that amusement park and we were like, wow, this is kind of cool. Nobody knows who we are. And
yeah,
had a good time. Well, I've been going to a lot of fairs doing that same kind of thing and walking around. And I love my wife. But it doesn't matter where we go, where we'll be talking to people and she goes, oh, this is my husband. He's a ghost hunter. Oh. And then everybody has to tell me their ghost story.
Oh, yeah, everybody's got one.
Because everybody's got a ghost story. I mean, that's why the ghost shows on television did so well for so long, because everybody has their own ghost story.
Oh, yeah.
I look at them and go, well, really, what I like to do now is I like to go down and hunt local legends. And I think this will break the conversation. But no, everybody has a local legend, too. They're like, oh, have you been up to so-and-so, where the so-and-so walks out at midnight on the 4th of July? And
all right.
But that's my story. But so this weekend, I went to the Bridgewater Fair. And it's a little local fair up here in Connecticut. Probably the only little local fair up here in Connecticut.
Okay.
And I had a really good time. I saw everything from cows to people jumping motorcycles, but again, no big feet. This time they didn't even have a freak show, Sean.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Yep.
How are you gonna have a fair without
anymore?
Huh?
They just can't get a good freak show anymore.
Oh, that's nuts, man. That's nuts. I don't know how they can do that. Isn't that a great time of year, though? I mean, it's, I don't want to get all crazy and gooey with our G&D Nation. They're not used to it, but...
Kevin wants to know if we're doing naked broadcasting, why we don't have video feed.
Well, because they're not paying for this broadcast. You guys want to start flipping some money? G&D Nation, we know you guys are cheapskates. That's why we kept it free this long. Come on, man.
They're not cheapskates. They just know that we don't know how to make money, so they're taking advantage.
They got to be happy.
Beat me up.
Okay, we want them to take advantage.
I was always happy when I found free
Like
things.
taken advantage of.
We keep it free. Take advantage of us, guys. Oh, behave. No, but anyway, it's a good time of year. You got the festivals cruising around. I always like the Oktoberfest, though, because it's the change of the season. It's real nice out, and you know it's going away. You know that the festivals, the fair, the carnies, the greasy, dirty, smelly carnies.
Hey, I used to.
I know, that's... They're getting ready to pack it up. You just got the G&D hate bell. They're getting ready to pack it up for the season, and it kind of reminds me... Remember the old show, Something Wicked This Way Comes?
Of course.
Did you ever read the book?
The October people, or the Autumn people. The Autumn people.
That was a Stephen King novel, right?
No, Ray Bradbury.
Bradbury. Oh, my God. How did I mess up? I'm sorry to the Bradbury fans. And Ray, rest in peace. Sorry to you, sir. But, that was good. The Halloween tree, stuff like that. But, yeah, I remember the opening when I was younger. I watched it, and he was talking about the season and two boys running through the pumpkin patch. And I thought, bang, bang. Boy, he hit it right on the head, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Takes me back.
Want a Biggie fries?
I do.
That's why you're bringing Husky back.
That's it. I want a Biggie fries. So what else is going on, man? We've talked about my adventures today. We talked about your work. You got bit by a spider, but we don't know if it was radioactive or not, right?
If it was, we'll know soon, and I'll web my way over and tell everybody.
Well. You know,
I won't be like Peter Parker and hide it. I'll come out and say, "Hey, I'm a radioactive Spider-Man," and
yeah,
I'll call myself, but I won't call myself Spider-Man because I don't want to deal with the lawsuits. So.
Now that you're married, this is an important question. Now that you're married, if you came up with superpowers and all these chicks were after you, would you kiss Kirsten Dunst upside down? Kirsten Dunst.
I wouldn't even need superpowers for that. I think my wife would forgive me that.
No, you'd need a super attorney because you'd be a divorce court, buddy. Hey, tonight's band, Demon Hunter, good friends of the show. New album release. Work Release Program's the name of the album, guys. Twang and Round. Find more out about Twang and Round at ReverbNation.com. That's ReverbNation.com. Twang and Round, guys. Sipping on some shine was their song. That's one of my favorite ones. Good friends of the show, Demon Hunter. Big supporters.
They are. They're good friends. How come I've never met them?
Well, you're not out here in the Midwest. They always hook me up. So I'm always out there. They're like, come on down, brother. You know. So I come on down there. And, they've been out. We met them at Octagon Hall.
We did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I sure did. And they're good friends of mine, and they love our show, and they support it. They constantly post our stuff on their Facebook page. Great bunch of guys. Big shout out to you guys. Thanks for the tunes.
I see. They're a Sean Burris fan.
Well, whatever shares our stuff is kind of both of us. Hey, without further ado, guys, tonight's guest.
Dun, dun, dun.
Is that loud enough? Sounds pretty good. Tonight's guest, author, lecturer, survivor, Andrea Perron, guys. We go back in the shadows to get the true story of the 1974 Harrisville haunting case, guys. You ready for this, world? It's now the subject matter of the blockbuster new movie, The Conjuring. Everybody wants to know. They want to ask Andrea, what is going on? What happened? What's the true story? Tonight, on the G&D show, we get the real scoop from the Warrens to the Perron family. What happened? Bathsheba, the spirit's name that roamed those halls. Is it still there? We don't know. We find out tonight on your G&D show. Demon Hunter?
That would be me. Oh, right.
That's it. It's getting real hard to keep this upbeat. You're going to have to take some Not volume. You're gonna have to take some speed when we go to commercial break. You're killing me.
I'll go make a cup of coffee right now.
Mm-hmm.
No, I was just thinking we were thinking about that, and thinking about the scary music that plays in these things. I wanted to say thank you out there also to our intro music people, the Midnight Syndicate. They've got a new album coming out too.
Oh, do they? Anyway, guys, tonight's guest, Andrea Perron, the new from the actual survivor of the haunting case that the movie The Conjuring is based on.
Didn't they all survive?
Great show. Yeah, they're all survivors. Very good story, heartwarming story, and a very tragic thing that they are a very huge traumatic thing that they had to experience. You know, I grew up in a haunted house too, Nathan, if you remember that from my...
I remember. You told me that.
So it was a very... of course, I didn't experience something like what they experienced, but it's a spooky thing, man. Spooky thing. I bet still to this day
you're the one that had the spirit that liked to walk into your room, which was really a hallway, and it like tugging on you, right?
It'd tug on my sheets at night, real slow, pulling down. I couldn't get lucky enough to have like a hot blonde float through my bedroom, like in Ghostbusters.
Like in Ghost Hunter or Ghostbusters?
Yeah. I couldn't do that.
How come I never get that ghost either?
I don't know, man. I'm waiting on it though. One day we'll keep searching. That's why we got into ghost hunting, right?
That's why we got into ghost hunting. That's right. It's hey, quick throw out there, Sean. Midnight Syndicate's new album, Axe Giant: The Wrath of Paul Bunyan.
Oh.
The original motion picture soundtrack CD now out by Midnight Syndicate.
I'm ready, man.
Candy bars.
MidnightSyndicate.com.
MidnightSyndicate.com.
But now that I got that out of the way,
paid some bills.
Paid some bills. Thanked some folks.
Thanks some
back to evil ghosts and demons and monsters and living in the house with children. Sean, I feel bad because like the spooky things that happened in my house growing up were never, like any of this. And like I said, everybody's got a ghost story now. And then they go and they watch something like, The Conjuring, and they're sitting there going, well, that couldn't be true because it didn't happen to me.
Right.
And I'm sitting there thinking, well, maybe you're not as special as you thought you were.
Right. Hey, special thanks to Moosehead Beer, Moosehead Lager tonight. Since 1867, guys, apparently it's been getting lots of Canucks drunk. Canada's oldest independent brewery. Moosehead Lager, thank you.
Well, from north of the United States to south of the Americas, from north of the United States to south of the United States, I'd like to throw some thanks out to the Middle Americas there and say thank you to Dos Equis, the double X's, for giving me Lager Especial.
Dos Equis!
Dos Equis.
I don't always drink, but when I do, I drink Dos Equis. And so does she. Oh, you're sick, man. Man.
Hey, somebody recently looked at me and said, I've been following your history, Nathan, for a while now. Are you sure that you're not really the most interesting man in the world? And I said, I'm not allowed to talk about that. I'm under contract.
I'm under contract. Absolutely. Most interesting man in the world.
That's me.
Must be the handlebar mustache.
Mm-hmm. It gets attention, man. I get attention. I told you, people have walked up to me in the middle of like the street and just said, just want to say, love that mustache.
See?
Guys, grow the handlebar mustache. The chicks love it.
The chicks dig it, man. They want to hold it and say, come get me, big boy.
I had one guy on the boardwalk walk up and say, is that mustache real? I'm like, what, do you think No, I glued it on just for today.
I won it by throwing fish ring toss. Handlebar mush. What do you say we do the news, brother?
In the news.
Oh, wrong one. That never happens. It's always fresh. It's always new, guys. It's always exciting. And it's straight from the G&D show vaults, and it starts right...
Yeah. So since neither of us actually got to read the news at all this week before we came on tonight, Sean, do you want to jump in there and grab the first one?
Well, it's, we never get to read the...
No, which is why there is a G&D drinking game, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. If you're listening to the GhostMan and Demon Hunter show, this is the time when you have to pick up your beer or your drink or whatever you're having.
Whatever.
And every time Sean and I make a mistake while reading the news, you have to take a drink. Now, this is not the case if you are driving and
Don't
listening
drive.
to the show on an iPod, or if you're listening to the show live right now and planning to drive afterwards.
Yeah.
Ghostman and Demon Hunter's show very strongly says, do not drink and drive. You might spill your drink. So
We can't be held responsible. All rules and regulations must be...
that's right. Listen to the Ghostman and Demon Hunter show responsibly, ladies and gentlemen.
must be followed at all times. Keep your hands and feet in the vehicle.
In the vehicle?
Yeah. That make you feel right at home with your carny past. Okay, guys, first story from the G&D Show Vault Special. Thanks. Who are we thinking tonight? Weird news, guys, from the Huffington Post. We love the good people over there. Jumping cow spotted in suspicious British UFO video. What do you think about this, Demon Hunter?
I think that it was probably mad.
Yeah. Well, they got some...
Mad cow disease.
It looks like a jumping cow to me, but I don't know a jumping cow that would light up. Anyway, guys, here we go. If super intelligent extraterrestrials traveled across the galaxy to spy on us, they'd have to be very sneaky. About as sneaky as some TV producers. There are growing suspicion that unusual lights videotaped around the UK town of Stamford, around 90 miles north of London, could be part of a stunt for a television show. In the past week, 2 videos appeared on YouTube, allegedly showing a UFO over a herd of cows in a field near Stamford, and 2 glowing aerial lights slowly moving above the town from an area known as Broad Street. Let's see here. According to the local newspaper Rutland and Stamford Mercury, several readers have come forward to say that they were asked about strange lights by a TV crew in Stamford last week. Let's see what all the fuss is about in the first video. Of course, we're not going to see that, guys. I'm not going to play that. I'm not going to play that, Demon Hunter.
Well, you can't really play that. That video doesn't belong to us.
No, we can't play it.
But we can thank the Huffington Post for putting it out there, and if you want to read it, you can see the video, you can go to the Huffington Post.
It says clearly the jumping cow was a CG element added in later. The tampering, however, funny. I did laugh. Also, unfortunately, automatically negates the video from serious consideration, according to Mark D'Antonio, an email to the Huff Post. Drink up, guys. D'Antonio. I'm sure it's D'Antonio or something like that. Something fancy. D'Antonio, chief photo/video analyst for the Mutual UFO Network. Good friends over there at MUFON. The world's largest UFO investigation organization is a consultant on numerous U.S. government and military projects, as well as a network television special about UFOs. You think there's something linked? Huh?
I think that if you're gonna film a UFO over a herd of cows, ladies and gentlemen, don't add in a jumping CGI cow later.
Wait, Mark D'Antonio, he has a UFO special on television, and somebody CG'd something for a television show, people think.
You think that could be possible?
I don't know. I'm trying to do the, Sherlock Holmes thing here.
Sherlock Holmes, with a lot of sight gags there, Sean, unless you're doing the old radio Sherlock Holmes.
No, the new one, the cool one, with Iron Man in it, yeah.
With Iron Man playing Sherlock Holmes. Yeah, Sean, that's great.
Hey, in my world, the Incredible Hulk would be Sherlock Holmes. He'd say, Hulk smash! And they'd be like, listen, all those British proper people, he'd say, Hulk smash! He'd get to the bottom of it. Demon Hunter, the Hulk.
That would be an interesting Sherlock Holmes episode if, Sherlock Holmes actually turned into the Incredible Hulk at one point.
Yeah.
Well, elementary, my dear. Smash!
You shut mouth! You too smart! Oh, God. It's good stuff. Do you got the next one, or do I got to read it?
Why, I have a special one that's just come in.
Nobody wants to hear it. What is it? I'll listen to it.
Area 51 exists.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Declassified CIA documents state.
I was looking at that, but I didn't. I chose not to read it because it was kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
It was.
UFO buffs and believers in aliens and extraterrestrials and are celebrating the CIA's clearance acknowledgement.
Yeah.
Yet the existence of Area 51, a top-secret Cold War test site that has been subject of numerous conspiracies for decades, may not be what we thought it was.
All right.
The recently declassified documents have set a have set the tinfoil hat crowd abuzz.
Oh! You said teen foil. It's tinfoil. Drink up, guys!
Oh, fine.
It's the drink bell.
Though there's no mention of papers about UFO crashes, black-eyed extraterrestrials, or strange moon landings.
Yes.
Andrew Hewins,
Uh-huh.
I think I got that right,
Hewings? Drink up anyway, guys, just in case. Be on the safe side.
and of Oxford, Maine,
Oxford, Maine.
runs a support group for people like her who believe they have been contacted by extraterrestrials.
Yeah.
She suspects the CIA is moving closer to disclosing there are space aliens on Earth.
Space aliens on Earth?
Don't be playing with yourself.
Huffington Post always gets the truth, man.
Oh, yes.
I'm thinking that they're probably testing the waters to see how people, how mad people get about the big lie and cover-up. She said.
Think there's going to be a big lie and cover-up kind of deal?
U.S. government officials hesitated in acknowledging the very existence of Area 51.
Okay.
The CIA history released Thursday not only refers to Area 51 by name and describes some of the aviation activities that took place there,
Right.
locates the Air Force Base on a map along with a dry chrome lake bed.
Okay. A dry foam lake bed?
A dry Grome lake bed.
I don't understand what Grome is, so we'll bring that twice to drink.
With a lake bed. But
Drink twice,
it
people.
does have a map here. It shows Area 51.
Yeah.
About 3/4 of the way from Las Vegas on your way to Carson City. So maybe now that it's disclosed, people won't get shot at if they come within a mile of it.
Right.
Oh, good grief.
That takes all the fun out of it. Nobody's going to get killed by going to Area 51 no more.
Well, it's still a top secret base. The government's still going to protect it.
Well, yeah. I mean, you can't,
Just because they're telling us it's there doesn't mean we're allowed to go look at the aliens in the basement. I wasn't supposed to say that.
Was that a... I thought you hiccuped. Drink, guys. You hiccuped and you tried to cover it up.
No, I was saying that, I accidentally mentioned the aliens.
Right. Well, that was a good story. I told you it was kind of a bummer, though, because I wanted to...
Well, basically, it's not a bummer. They just said the Area 51 exists, and it has nothing to do with UFOs. But up until now, they've always said Area 51 doesn't exist, so...
How do you know it doesn't have anything to do with you? You think the government's going to tell us, yeah, it exists, and oh, by the way, there's a family of 4 green aliens here, and they're waiting. Are they green or grays? Is there a dispute? Is there 2 kinds? And then the reptiles.
There's different beliefs there, Sean. Some people say that there's both, and some people say there's a third race called the Norwegians or something like that.
Hey, let's prove they exist, folks, before we start... Same thing I say with ghosts. Let's be able to get that documentation, guys. It's very important. Some of us know they exist, but before we start classifying them. That's all I got to say. That's my 2. Hey, waterproof boxer shorts let you keep gadgets in your pants, Stephen Hunter.
I thought you'd like that one, Sean.
Well, I thought this was important. Waterproof boxer shorts let you keep gadgets in your pants. It's summertime. A lot of guys and girls.
Hide your camera from now on.
Hey, do girls wear boxer shorts?
In the 80s, when I was growing up, they wore them as pants, but
yeah, I think it's
literally
sexy.
go in and buy boxer shorts 2 sizes too big for them, and they'd wear those as pants. But,
yeah, well, I like to get girls in boxers. There was one girl in college that used to... anyway. Waterproof boxer shorts let you keep gadgets in your pants. You're not even going to chuckle, huh? Well, I'm giving you pearls here, my friend. Pearls. If you've ever jumped into a hotel pool and had that sinking feeling, your mobile phone was still in your pocket, then you probably need to change your pants. Drink up, guys. That was funny. I like it. A revolutionary pair of boxer shorts could be the answer. This comes out of our friends from the Huffington Post. They allow you to take a dip and to keep your valuables safe and dry next to you. The lightweight briefs have 2 airtight pockets to store your passport, cash, and credit cards, and are waterproof to 60 meters, 200 feet, even.
Okay.
200 feet. Who's going to go to 200 feet?
Well,
a diver.
not me, that's for sure. But you like to dive.
Yeah. Well, I do dive. I'm a licensed diver.
When you were diving, Sean, did you wear boxer shorts when you dived?
Well, I don't remember. I think it was briefs. Yeah.
See, that seems like more something you'd wear underneath that like SEAL suit that you wore.
Yeah. Well, whatever it is, you have to be able to, relieve yourself in it because, let's face it, when you're underwater for hours at a time, it happens. And that's how you warm yourself, actually.
You were swimming in a reservoir. People drink that water.
I didn't say I peed in the reservoir. I'm just saying it happens. Ask any diver.
I see.
I don't need a fine coming from that lake. Nigel Clifford, guys, co-founder of the Adventure Underwear, said, before I went traveling to South Africa, I was warned about pickpockets and thieves by all my friends. One of them mentioned that women are okay because they can keep their cash and credit cards in their bras, but guys don't have that option. I never met a chick that kept credit cards in their bra. So I made my first prototype pair of underwear before leaving South Africa and kept my passport, cash, and credit cards in at all times. Mr. Clifford, 26, of Perth, Australia, added he decided to add the second waterproof pocket when his friend's camera was stolen on, drink up guys, Copacabana Beach in Rio de Janeiro?
Pretty close.
Rio de Janeiro? Copacabana, I think that's right. Copacabana Beach in Rio de Janeiro. There you go, guys. Drink up. Four shots. He is now working on a woman's version of the merino wool pants and hopes to have them on the market in November, just in time for summer in the southern hemisphere. Wool pants in summer for women.
I'll tell you, it's certainly not going to be a thong, is it?
No, I don't think it'll be a thong, but it'll be interesting. A lot of... Oh, wow.
What I kind of think about there, Sean, is how does he pay for stuff? How does he make change? Like if he has to buy something, he's got to reach down in his underwear and pull. Do you really want to take money from this man?
I don't know. So if you take a $400 phone, because everybody's going crazy with the iPhones and everything else, I don't have one. I buy used phones. That's why I don't have to use smartphone or whatever. That way I don't have to. You pay $100 and you don't have to sign any contracts. That way you got them by the boo boo. That's the way to do it, G&D Nation.
See, my roommate just lost his phone. We paid $69 for the phone when he got the contract. Now that he lost it, he's got to pay $700 to get the phone repaired.
Okay.
That's a lot of money for a phone.
See, that's a joke. They're ripping people off. Man.
Well, no, if you go over, you talk about, you bought a used phone. That's why, if you've ever seen those commercials where people say, sell your phone back.
Okay.
Got this for my iPhone. I got this for my cell phone. Blah blah blah. They take those phones and they go take them over to Europe, where they don't have contracts on their phone services like we do here. So you can't get the phone at a discount. So if you want the $700 phone, you have to pay $700. So they buy our older phones all up because they want the old used ones that they don't have to pay the $700 on.
So what you're saying is Europe is behind us in the times.
No, I'm saying Europe is smarter than us when it comes to not paying $700 for a phone.
Oh.
But hey, Sean.
Yeah.
Dog lion at Chinese zoo.
Ah.
Didn't fool as many people as they'd hoped.
Oh, wow. I got to hear this. I got to hear it.
No lion, that's a dog.
Yeah.
Get it? No lion?
No lion, not the dog.
No lion, that's a dog.
I think that's a drink.
Not lion, that's no lion.
I think you got it out of context there.
Never mind. Visitors.
Your delivery was weak.
Park of Luau in Hunan, China.
Yeah, China.
Got in an uproar after a Tibetan Mastiff
Yeah.
was placed in a cage labeled African Lion.
Right.
According to the AFP, the dog spoiled the not-so-clever ruse when it began to bark. By pictures of the exhibit,
Yeah.
where did I go? That that clinched it on Chinese Twitter, along with
Clinch.
Sina Weibo, the so-called lion. You have a drink with that one, folks. Wasn't all that convincing to begin with.
Sina Ubu.
Lions are cats. Well, apparently they have their own form of Facebook over there in China. They're not allowed to use ours. Lions are cats, by the way, people. People do seem to have trouble remembering that.
Right.
That was one of the tweets. According to the AFP, visitors felt cheated out of their 15 yen, or what would be $2.45 American, they'd spent to see the bogus exhibit, which also, reportedly misspelled Kyop. Oh, why did I take this one?
I don't know.
Tie-up rodents in the snake cages, a white fox in a leopard den, and another dog in a wolf pit.
Yeah.
So apparently they couldn't get the animals, so they just said, who has pets? Bring all your pets to work day tomorrow. Right. We'll stick them in the cages, see if we can get away with this.
Do they have any cougar pits? I'd pay $2.50 for that. She could buy me a drink.
Lion will be back. They went to the other zoo to breed.
Yeah.
The zoo administrator reportedly told the Oriental Daily.
Yeah.
How come they can call their stuff Oriental, but we're not allowed to use that word anymore?
Well, it's insensitive, yeah.
as quoted in the South China Morning Post.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. Why did I have to pick one full of Chinese words?
Sikamoge!
Sake. Wait, no, that's Japanese. Sure, they're off breeding. Maybe when they come back, they'll have cubs. Cubs that look especially like Tibetan Mastiffs.
Oh.
Fortunately, that would be a total loss considering how cute they are.
Oh.
Here's another look at Tibetan Mastiffs. Blah, blah, blah. $750,000 winning specimens. So if you want to see the pictures of Tibetan Mastiffs masquerading as lions, folks, head on over to the Huffington Post and check out Dog Lion in Chinese Zoo.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's that story, Sean.
I gotta watch
another bummer, another fake.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
where we go, somebody's faking something, dude.
See, I like that better than American freak shows. You know, sideshows, stuff like that, because at least they tried. Kudos to
the funny thing is,
Republic of whoever.
They spent $2.45.
Yeah.
See a Tibetan Mastiff.
Yeah.
Let's face it. How many Tibetan Mastiffs do we have here in the U.S.? People would probably pay the $2.45 to see them here.
Well, yeah, but we can't bring those over, right? It's like releasing them into our
somewhere that we can get them.
If they breed with our poodles, it'll make like a Godzilla or some radiation and some poodle love.
Like the Dog de Bordeaux, the French Mastiffs, the big floppy thing.
Yeah.
I gotta watch you.
Demon Hunter.
GhostMan.
It's time for that G&D exclusive segment.
What segment would that be?
Legend X.
Oh my.
Hold on, don't say nothing yet.
I'm waiting.
All right.
Dead air is great for the radio.
Here we go. Legend X series, guys. Demon Hunter, tell them about it.
That's right, folks. Every week, Sean Burris and I go out and look for the weirdest, the strangest, the craziest, the most urban of urban legends.
Sexiest.
And we bring them back here for you. Why? Because you may not have heard of them, or you may have heard of them and know something we don't know, or you may have heard of them and found out something wrong. Whatever it is, you can be sure we will find it and we will bring them back here, because these aren't stories. These are legends.
Tonight's legend, G&D Nation, the Bunny Man. Why are all these sounds so low? What did you do with our soundboard?
I put a modulator on it or something.
There you go.
You know,
there we go. A little background noise for you. The Bunny Man. Let's talk about it, Demon Hunter.
Well, you know, we've been talking a lot about monsters lately, and we've been talking about spooky stuff, and I thought, you know, some of those great urban legends are like the man with the hook hand.
Yeah, it makes you feel good.
Yeah, and you know, people don't always realize that maybe right down the road from them, there was a legend of an axe murderer in a bunny suit. In the 1970s, the Fairfax County, Virginia, recorded what was commonly known as the Bunny Man. The Bunny Man is an urban legend that probably oriented from 2 incidents in Fairfax County in the 1970s, but has been spread throughout Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
There are many various versions. Sorry, have a drink, folks. You can drink during this part too.
Yeah.
To the legend, but most involve a man wearing a bunny costume
Hoo-ah!
who attacks people with an axe. You know, I wonder if that's little Ralphie all grown up.
It looks like it. In the picture we're showing right now, we got the guy in the pink bunny suit with the blood on his knees. Hey, on all fairness, for little Ralphie, he told his mother he did not want to wear that. Moms, don't force your kids to wear stuff they don't want to.
This is true.
Turn into axe murderers.
You know, Sean is the way he is today because his mom wanted a little girl.
Mm-hmm. See? Sorry, Mom.
The skirts just didn't cut it.
Yeah.
Well,
the beard.
Yeah, they didn't match the beard.
Yeah. See?
Many variations occur, but they all seem to happen around the Colchester Overpass, a southwestern railway overpass spanning Colchester Road near Clifton.
Yeah.
Did I get that right, Sean?
Clifton, let me see here.
I need to go to my quiet place.
Yeah, you did.
You know, the weapons, the victims, the description of the bunny suit, they all seem to change from person to person, as legends seem to do. But the one that stays the same is it is a guy in a bunny suit. You know, I wonder if something really did occur where somebody like chased somebody in a bunny suit one Halloween or something.
Well, it had to. I think I read our good friends Mark and Mark from Weird US on the History Channel. They used to have that great show that we love so much. Of course, I have a couple of their books, a few of them, and I try to pick up one everywhere we go. Demon Hunter and I both love them. But Mark and Mark talked about this
whenever I visit my family.
Yeah, and somebody had wrote about the Bunny Man, and they had people calling in. And I think, don't quote me, Nation, but I think, Demon Hunter, they said there was a man in a bunny suit that would come out and like throw an axe through your window. Teenagers would go off to a place and they would try to have fun without procreation.
Of course not. They never do that.
No. And then they would see this dude come out with a bunny suit on, similar to Ralphie's in the Christmas Story.
Well, I honestly think a lot of these stories, Sean, are started by young men who are trying to scare their girlfriends while they go out on events. Because science has shown that women's enthusiasm towards, shall we say, more sexual escapades increase when they are scared.
Yes, that's why most women are attracted to ghosts and ghost hunting.
And Sean Burris, because he's a very scary man.
That's a experiment. That's a thing I've been working on, a study. Paranormal makes women horny.
Many women enjoy roller coasters, I guess.
Right.
But in some accounts, the Bunny Man is a ghost.
Oh.
Or an aging specter.
Well, that's the same thing. Specter, a ghost.
How does a specter age?
I don't know. Because he's already dead. I mean, I guess you could count the days of his death till whatever.
He comes out at the place of his death each year
if you
on
want to
Halloween.
Do the math.
To commemorate his death.
Right.
And in some accounts, victims' bodies are mutilated.
You could use the algebra equation if you want. What's half a pie of a figment of your imagination?
Cherry.
Ding ding! You're smart. How'd you know? How'd you know what I was thinking?
Oh.
How'd you know?
I gotta watch you.
I do.
This story has existed now, Sean, for, oh my goodness, 1970. It's what now? It's at 70, 80, 90, 2000, 2010. We're on 43 years now of this story existing out there, Sean. It's America's homegrown myths.
Oh wow.
This story is told among little children in the area.
Yeah.
I wonder, when I was growing up, my brother actually started one of these little legends.
Yeah.
On the farm that we grew up on, he told people that the farm had been owned by a man who went crazy one night and killed his family.
Right.
And people believed him.
See.
Before you knew it, everybody was talking about the axe murders that had occurred on my farm, and none of it was true.
You should have sold tickets.
People believed it.
I would have sold tickets. You said you didn't have much more to do but to raise your animals and send them to slaughter last week.
It's true. This is true.
I
That's
just sold
pretty
tickets.
much what you got to do.
I did tours. I just said, right here, he cut the Bunny Man in half. So, does the Bunny Man, I think the Bunny Man, has he done, when was the last reported sighting of the Bunny Man? Can you Google that?
Last reported Bunny Man sighting, I believe, was in 1976.
So, where's he been since 76? Did he retire?
Well, but then again, there are people who say he comes out every Halloween, Sean, so how do you know?
We'll see.
Maybe he mutilates everyone who sees him, so nobody's been able to report it.
Right. How do we know it's not an actual bunny? Like a deformed half man, half bunny?
A giant bunny-like man. Is that some kind of pixie or fairy? Or
Yeah.
There's a word for bunny fairies.
What if it's like a demon that dressed up like a bunny, and runs around out there and throws axes at people and stuff? Yeah. Do you think they would do that? Do you think a spirit would take the form of a man in a bunny suit? He might be a apparition. It might have been a man forced to wear a bunny suit by his mother, and he got hit on that train track, and now he shows up with an axe because he's so angry, looking for his mother.
I see. I don't believe it, but I see.
Well,
there is some kind of fairy that's supposed to be based on a bunny rabbit. Anybody know what that is?
No, but you told me one time about a goddess. I believe it was in the Wiccan belief.
Oh, well,
the
you're
Easter
thinking
goddess.
of Astara, who her chariot is pulled by two giant bunnies.
Yeah, bunny
That's
rabbits.
where we get the Easter bunny from.
Yeah.
No.
There is a
Thank you,
fairy
Jay.
type creature that's part bunny, and I can't remember what it. I'm googling it right now.
It's a part bunny, part man, or is it just...
It's part bunny, part man. Yeah, it's like a fairy, but like a werewolf, but a rabbit instead, a were-rabbit kind of thing.
And it will kill you. Now, I heard a jackrabbit can kill a man. I mean, if it's big enough, out on the plains in the desert.
I don't know about that, but I do know that I've been scratched up pretty bad by a jackrabbit.
Have you really? Do they have teeth? Do they have, like, fangs?
Well,
Or
Ethan, boy, can they bite.
is it like Banicula?
Especially if you get like a wild or a feral rabbit like that, like a large jackrabbit. They have claws too.
Well, aren't they all wild and feral?
Well, they're bunnies that they're bred down, but
Yeah.
but the feral jackrabbits and the wild jackrabbits, and the feral rabbits, they have claws and they can really do a number on you. But I doubt they could really kill a man.
Why are you holding a wild jackrabbit? Do they have them out there in Pennsylvania?
No, that was something I came across out west, and
Yeah.
it's not something I recommend, folks. I think I was actually in a zoo where I actually got to handle it, and they did get a good chunk out of my arm with one of those back claws.
What were you doing out west? Gunslinging? I mean, what?
What else would I be doing out west?
I don't know.
You've seen my mustache. I belong in the old west.
Well, you do.
Scotty,
I haven't. Yeah, I haven't seen it lately. I haven't seen the mustache. You haven't been posting anything on Facebook. People haven't. They got to see the new stash. It's been about.
I've been hiding from Facebook.
It's been about a month since you had something. You went into hiding. See, it's
went
almost
into
like you got something big coming up, and you got you're hiding like Batman or something. You know.
I don't talk about that.
I don't trust the hiding people.
I'm Rabbit Man.
I don't trust them.
Scotty, beat me up.
You might be the Rabbit Man. I don't know.
I'm Rabbit Man, not the Bunny Man.
You could
I'm
be.
Rabbit Man.
Anyway, that was the Bunny
Bunny
Man.
Man's evil twin.
That was the
Wait,
Bunny
no,
Man.
Bunny Man's good twin. Sorry.
Did you ever find the Rabbit Slayer or whatever you were looking up?
No, the Rabbit Fae. I was looking for him, couldn't find him. It's but there's supposedly one does exist, and now I'm mad at myself because I kept saying I've got to find that rabbit fairy thing so that I can bring that up, and now I lost it.
We'll find it by the end of the show tonight.
Oh, sure, easy for you to say.
Yeah, look it up. Look it up at the end of the night tonight. Demon Hunter, it's 7:59. The hour is upon us. We're actually on time tonight. I couldn't believe it. 7:59. Yeah, it just turned 8 o'clock. What do you say we go to break, huh? And when
Sounds good.
yeah, and when we come back, guys, the moment you've all waited for. Tonight's guest, author, lecturer, survivor of the real-life 1974 Harrisville haunting case, which is the subject of the blockbuster new movie, The Conjuring, guys. Author, lecturer, survivor Andrea Perron stops by to tell us what really happened back in the shadows so many years ago at the house that is a feature film now, The Conjuring. It's not the actual house, but she's going to be with us tonight, Demon Hunter. What do you say we go to break?
Don't go back to the house. People live there now.
Yeah. Stay away from the house. Very important. But we're going to find out what happened, guys. America wants to know. You want to know. The G&D Nation wants to know. Heck, I want to know. We go back in the shadows. Yeah, we go back in the shadows, guys, in just a few. We're going to take a break. Tonight's music, Twangin' Round, Demon Hunter. Are you ready for this?
I'm always ready.
Twangin' Round and Jwaga Boys, guys. We'll be right back, Demon Hunter.
I'll snort some coffee while we're gone. I'll get me all charged up.
I need to get some, too. Okay, guys, we'll be right back.
This is Mike Rooker, and you're listening to Ghost Man and Demon Hunter show. Enjoy yourselves. Oh my God.
Oh my God, indeed, Michael. Welcome back, listeners around the world. This is your Mystifying Oracle Radio, the Ghostman and Demon Hunter show. Hello, everybody.
Hello, Mr. Burrs.
Well, hello. How are you doing, Nathan?
I'm much better now that I've had my coffee. I like my coffee. I'm very happy I have coffee.
I hope you took. What do the truckers take? What is that the truck? Not speed, but it's kind of like speed.
Like the Odos, where they take like 60 caffeine tablets all at once.
Don't take 60. Go take 50 and a half, and then call me, and we'll do the rest of the show. Yeah, baby. Anyway, guys, tonight's band was Twangin' Round. Special thanks to Twangin' Round. Find out more about them guys at ReverbNation.com. And tonight's guest, Demon Hunter, I am stoked. I'm excited, man.
She and I started talking just as I swallowed my third five-hour energy drink.
Yeah.
So she might be a little scared of us now.
She might come to your funeral. My God, man. Don't drink that red line stuff, because if you go past the halfway mark. I'm sure she's a big fan of the red mark stuff, the red line, because she's been touring guys all around the nation. Everybody wants to see her. They want to talk to her. She is a sweetheart in life. And on the circuit, guys, she's been touring. Like I said, tonight's guest, author, lecturer, survivor, Andrea Perron, from the real live case that's now the blockbuster movie The Conjuring. Andrea, what's going on, sis?
Hey, baby.
Hey, baby. I love that. Clip that, Demon Hunter. I want it.
Hi. Keeping an eye to the sky tonight. We're under a tornado warning.
Oh, my God.
If the alarms go off, you and everyone in cyberspace will hear them.
Yes.
If I have to leave quickly, I will tell you with my apologies, and we'll do it again. But hopefully it will pass to our east. That's what we're hoping. I have my whole family tracking the radar right now. So
now do you have like a basement? Do you have like a basement you run to if this happens?
No, unfortunately, under this old farmhouse, we don't have a basement. We have to take the dogs, the cats, and the people and cram them into our indoor bathroom. We've all done it before. Pillows over the head, the whole 9 yards. You do what you have to do. If you live in Tornado Alley, you just do what you have to do.
Now, did you hear that?
It's interesting because I grew up my whole life. If you've ever watched like the movie Twister or the movie, or even The Wizard of Oz,
Twister. Yeah.
Where they go to get down in the underground cellar.
Yeah.
I grew up on a farm for
the door off of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I grew up on on a farm that had a huge underground cellar. Ooh. That was always our escape route in case there was a tornado. First half of my childhood into my early adult years, never a twister came by. 2 years after I move out of that house, I get hit with my first twister.
See?
So I'm sitting there, and of course I was in a car, and it went right over me at the time. But no, that's something. You guys are sitting out there waiting for the worst to happen, and it's interesting because that's a horrible thing to think about having to face. And when you think about all the things you've already faced, something natural like that coming at you, where do you keep up the energy?
Nice lead in, Nathan.
I try.
I'll tell you something. I feel I'm not tempting fate by saying this, but I do feel that I'm protected and that my family is protected. And I can't really explain that other than to say that they've come close so many times, and these storms seem to split apart and just dissipate when they get to our neck of the woods. So I'm hoping that will hold true for tonight. If not, believe me, I'll let you know. But it's all good. It's Mother Nature, and you can't blame anyone. It is what it is. And so until I don't live in a tornado-prone area anymore, we just cope with it.
Yeah, we get them here in Indiana all the time too, sis. But I tell you, you've been helping people. You've been lecturing for years. I seen you. I don't know what conference it was because we did some Demon Hunter. Do you remember when Andrea? Which one it was? We were doing the live show. We were just getting started about 7 years ago.
About 7 years ago. Let's see. Where have we been? Where were we that first
I
year?
don't remember. I don't remember. Anyway, somebody booked us, and I seen
We
Andrew.
were in Arkansas. We were in Indiana. We were in Iowa. Wait.
That was a rhetorical question. Anyway.
Oh, you didn't really want to.
I know, and it's like that for me too, honey. I'm, in the last 6-7 weeks, I have been all over this country.
Oh God, I can imagine.
It really has been an amazing, amazing ride. For the when the trailers began with the film, Warner Brothers and New Line Cinema graciously invited me to be a spokesperson for the film, and I can honestly endorse the film, and they know that. I spoke at length with the executive producers, not only last year on the set, but also when I was invited out for a private screening of the film in March over Easter weekend. And they know that I love the film. Now, there are things that I want to clarify. They understand that, and they know that I do so on a regular basis on virtually every interview that I do. For instance, for those of you who have seen the film, we were not a family of godless heathens. Actually, we weren't. My father was an altar boy, for God's sake. Okay. He was born and raised into the Roman Catholic tradition, the die-hard Roman Catholicism of yesteryear. And my mother converted to Catholicism to marry him, and all 5 of us were raised Catholic, and all 5 of us were baptized into the church. We didn't abandon the church. The church abandoned us. The priest in our parish in Harrisville, Rhode Island, was terrified of what he was hearing about what was happening to us at our home and to our family. And he suggested to my father that we worship elsewhere.
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up, Andrea, because one of the things I noticed when we were talking to Keith 2 weeks ago, I mentioned that having watched the film and having seen a lot of movies about the Warrens, it was they said, well, this movie existed about the Warrens. Let's take this little bit of the story and fit it in. And this movie worked about the Warrens. Let's move this in. And it was almost like they took little bits and pieces out of other Warren stories and fit them in. And well,
I don't think it was that so much as that they had way more information to work with that they could possibly use. Because keep in mind that the film is based on the case files of Ed and Lorraine Warren and their investigation of our farmhouse in the 1970s. But it also tells their story as well and begins with the Annabelle doll as rather an introduction to those that don't know the history of Ed and Lorraine. So it amalgamated the 2 stories together, and I thought what was a lovely flow, how they carried it through from one to the next, and then ended it with an introduction to the Amityville house that came after us. And I thought that they did a good job with that, but I gave them a ton of information. They had gobs from Mrs. Warren. They had all kinds of first-hand accounts from a number of people. And so what they had to do was literally, I'll use the metaphor, they cherry-picked these fruit trees laden with fruit and then amalgamated them into their own recipe. There is fictionalization in the film. There are things that absolutely did not happen. My mother never bit anyone. If she was ever going to bite anyone, it would have been my father.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen. You know, even though there were times he did deserve it.
We weren't making light of it, but me and the fiance went to see the movie, Andrea. And she's a kooky one because she got with me and she knows the line of work I've been in with the spiritual stuff and all that for years. And she's like, oh no, another spooky movie. And I can tell you, she jumped 5 feet out of her seat. This was the best scary movie since back in the day with the Amityville Horror, and they really captured that. Kudos to the director, but I got to tell you, you, girlfriend, you lived it. And now I want to tell you, listeners around the world are viewers around the world, and we're showing a live show right now with your feed. And right now on the screen, I have the pictures you sent me. And guys, these are real pictures that Andrea sent me from the house and some stuff, and I'm going to let you explain it. It's the old-fashioned picture, and I got a picture of the new house, your book, and Bathsheba's grave, and I'm going to hand it over to you, Nathan. If you don't have any questions, I'm going to let Andrea run with the whole story from start to finish.
I do want to throw a few things out there. Before we get into like the actual true story, I want to ask a couple things like, what did you think of the little girl who played you?
Well, first of all, she is absolutely precious. I just adore her. I thought that the casting for the film was amazing. And they didn't even have, when they cast this film, they didn't even have photographs of us at that age, and they pretty much nailed it. There were things about it that I said, oh, I would not have done that. First of all, you know how snarky she is when the family first moved into the house? I would have swallowed my own tongue first. Ever disrespectful to either one of my parents. It just simply would not have happened. And she was, also very flirty with the assistant. They mistook me for my sister Nancy. She's the one that would have been in that room and dragging him off to a closet for a kiss. Okay. And here's the deal: they did what they did, and for the most part, they really got it right. I was very, very protective of my sisters. I almost just said my children. And, honest to God, I was parentified. I, as the eldest, had to step in when things started going terribly wrong for my mother. And she started to descend into this hellish world that really took over for her for a while. The Warrens always insisted that she was oppressed. I do believe that they are correct about that. We watched a gradual change occur with Mom, where she began to dress in vintage clothing. She began to speak in archaic language, English from maybe the 1700s, using words that at first we thought, well, she's doing so much historical research on the house, she's just picking up this language from these, ancient texts that she's using for her historical chronicle. She always insisted that the spirits in the house were not simply passing through, that they were somehow attached to the house and the property, and that they belonged to the place. And so that was the predisposition she maintained as she went into the historical records and the research that she conducted on the property. We learned a lot, but it's still fragments of what all occurred there, because 8 generations of one extended family lived and died in that home prior to our arrival, and we guess about 12 of them never left.
Oh, wow.
Now, one other thing I wanted to ask you before we go on and just go deep into the story, as deep as we can get. George Lutz from the Amityville Horror Stories used to, of course, people would watch the movie and say, you'd come up to him and say, I don't believe it. That couldn't have happened. That's not real. And George used to look at him and say, well, you watched a movie. I didn't live the movie. If you want to know what happened, let me tell you my story.
Right.
Since the movie's come out, have you got more people coming to you saying they believe your story, or more coming to you saying, I can't believe it because that couldn't have happened?
Well, what I've found is that people want to know more, that they're very sophisticated. Generally, audiences are very sophisticated, and they look at this film and they see that there's got to be way more than what was compressed and condensed into a 2-hour film, and they're absolutely right. And so what we do, because when you Google The Conjuring, up comes House of Darkness, House of Light, and that was all done deliberately so that people would have access to the entire story. And Volume 3 will be out soon, but there's already 1,100 pages in print in the first 2 volumes of this trilogy that give people a very good overview of what actually transpired in our home. There were some things that happened that were so disturbing that they are not included in the trilogy, and that they won't be discussed outside of our family ever. However, I'd say a good 95% of it is in the books. And we reserve the right to the privilege and the privacy that we've built up around the last 5%, because it took a lot for us to share what we did. So, and so that's the story. And it is cathartic in many ways to put it out, but it was also highly disruptive for all of us emotionally. But I do believe ultimately that some measure of healing has occurred within our family. Keep in mind, we didn't share anything with anyone for 30 years.
Right.
And then I decided it was time that the world was ready for this, that the things that would be revealed in this memoir were so striking and so stunning that I'll tell you the God's honest truth. Warner Brothers couldn't handle the truth. They sent the script back, said, you've got to tone it down.
Right.
And the reason that they did that was because the truth was literally stranger than the fiction that they created. There were certain elements of the film that are absolutely spot on, but I'm going to tell you the spookiest thing of all, and that is the lighter side of what is very dark subject matter. That is that when I was 13, maybe 14 years old, my mother took us to a flea market in Foster, Rhode Island with her dear friend, Fran Cedarback. And Fran Cedarback bought a piece of folk art from me that was 50 cents, and I loved it. And it was a picture of a white cat. It's the same exact piece of artwork that the set designer placed on the mantelboard of my bedroom in the film.
Oh, wow.
There's no conceivable way they could have known that. Another thing, they had thousands of patterns of wallpaper to choose from that were, quote, colonial era. They chose the exact same pattern that was in our house. They did not know it.
Wow. It's almost like a supernatural influence over the film.
Like the Good Omens. You know, to me, when I saw that, that took my breath away. I didn't jump once watching the film. It was like, yeah, you know, well, okay. And yeah, but you know, the scene where I put my hand in front of my sister's forehead as she's banging it on the armoire, that didn't happen specifically, but that kind of thing happened. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
There was a lot of, we traveled in numbers in the house. There was rarely, never did did any one of us ever use the bathroom alone. Someone always came with whoever needed to go in there for whatever reason, because that was the right thing to do. Because there were things that happened in that room in the first couple of months that were so shocking that the only way to use the bathroom safely was to use the bathroom in numbers.
Right. Now, I got to ask you, Andrea, because as I told you before the show, I grew up in a haunted home, too. Nothing doesn't even hold a flame to your thing. We're talking Coke bottles would be stacked, bed sheets got pulled very slowly at night, and whispers in the hallway. I remember me and Mom coming home one night, and the alarm was going off to the house. And upstairs was empty, where my brother's room used to be, and we heard what sounded like a tornado was in his room. We had a bunch of antiques and stuff up there, and we heard a scream. And now, I can't... When was the first time, and I know you know what I'm talking about, that you felt that paralyzed feel, and you know that you're up against something that is mighty and dark? And because I remember hearing that scream, and me and my mom was in a trance. We froze, and we knew that we might as well be standing in front of Satan, because it took like 5 minutes for us to move out of the house. When was the first time you felt something like that, and you knew, uh-oh?
The day we moved in.
Really?
The day we moved in, it was my parents closed. My mom found the house in June of 1970. It took several months to negotiate the sale, take care of the survey, blah, blah, blah. Plus, dear old Mr. Kenyon stalled because he loved his home. He didn't really want to leave the farm. His son insisted that he do so because he was living in such a remote location and he was living alone. It was literally dangerous for him to be up there without being monitored, because he was in his 70s at that point. So he forced the sale of the farm for all intents and purposes, convinced his dad to sell it. But Mr. Kenyon just took his sweet time, ended the day. Yeah. We loved him so much, he could have just stayed there with us, and that would have been fine too, honest to God. However, we moved they closed on the farm in December of 1970, and then my mother said, no way in hell are we moving at Christmas.
Yeah.
So we stayed in Cumberland through the holidays, and then we moved into the farm on the first week of January. And it was a swirling, raging snowstorm. it's typical of that time of year. There's all kinds of weather moving through. And we slowly dragged our way up into the northwest corner of the state from the suburb of Providence where we were leaving. And, oh my, the back of the truck opened. My father handed out a good-sized box, put it in my arms, and I walked in the parlor door. I turned to my right and walked into the dining room where Mr. Kenyon was packing the very last of his belongings out of the china cabinet. I passed a man who was standing in the doorway between the dining room and the front hallway. And I greeted him. I said, "Good morning." He ignored me. I didn't take offense. I just kept walking and went into the kitchen. My sister Cindy came in with a box right behind me not 30 seconds later and said, "Mom, who's that man in the dining room?" And my mom said, "Mr. Kenyon." She said, "No, the other man." And my mother said, "There is no other man." Nancy walked in about maybe 30 seconds later and said, "Cindy, you know that man in the dining room? He just disappeared." I froze.
Right.
See, that's a warning sign. A lot of people would take that and go, "Oh, yeah." But you were a child. You were moving with your parents. You did what they said. And
right.
I mean, I remember Sean and I were filming one day in a prison. And I turned around and started talking to him before I realized he was like 50 feet away.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you go, "Oh, something's definitely going on here."
Andrea, I don't know how much you can tell us because, of course, you got the book out. You got the second book coming out.
The second one is out. The third one's coming.
The third one, I'm sorry. But people are so interested. America is so interested. Is there anything at night when you're in bed? Let's go back, if you can. I know it's hard, probably, and everything, but you talk about it a lot, and you cope with it really well. But you're laying in bed. You're preteen. Explain one night. What happens one night? Just one night of activity in that house.
I was the only one that had a private bedroom. There were 5 girls. 2 of them paired up in the room over the kitchen, 2 in the middle bedroom, which was an extremely active area, and then I had the bedroom over the parlor. It was comforting for me to be where I was because I could hear my parents downstairs. We had the big old wrought iron grates in the floor so that the heat could rise in the house, and so that gave me like an earpiece into the world that was going on below me.
Right.
And technically it was my ability to eavesdrop was enhanced dramatically with that hole in the floor. However, what I was hearing from my parents was mostly bickering because my mother was trying to tell my father what she was sensing and seeing and what was happening in the house, and he was dismissing her out of hand, as though this was just a product of her own imagination, because he had yet to have a close encounter of his own kind. Meanwhile, I would lay in bed at night, listen until I fell off to sleep to whatever happened to be on the TV underneath me or whatever my parents were discussing, and I would inevitably wake up with 1, 2, 3, and sometimes 4 of my sisters in bed with me. What would happen was Cindy particularly she's the one that began coming to me first. Cindy is a truly prescient woman. She has great gifts and incredible abilities. She almost died when she was 2 months old during some surgery that was necessary to keep her alive. And she came back a very wise old soul. And I do believe that Cindy's already been to the other side and has come back and had brought many guides and angels with her. Okay. She is completely surrounded at all times, and it has been my privilege to be able to call her my sister and share with her the way that I have over the years, and particularly in these last few years, because of everyone in the family, other than my mother. Cindy really supplied the most information about what happened in the house. But she would crawl into bed with me, and she'd say, "Annie, Annie." And I'd turn over and wrap my arms around her and pull her in close to me, something I thought that they represented very well in the film, by the way.
Right.
And she'd say, "I hear the voices. There's voices in my room. They're all around my bed. They keep saying the same thing over and over. They say it as though they're just one person, but there's lots of them. And she'd say, they keep saying there are 7 dead soldiers buried in the wall. There are 7 dead soldiers buried in the wall. That's all they ever said to her, ever. Meanwhile, I'm in the next room adjacent to hers, and I'm hearing an archaic call to arms in the form of a bugle call that I heard night after night. For the first few weeks, I thought, okay, new home, no matter how old. I mean, this house was finished in 1736.
Wow.
It was built over the course of decades. So, excuse me, I at first thought it was wind in the eaves, all new sounds and a new place. And then I realized that it was a horn. It was literally a military brass instrument that I kept hearing. And, keep in mind that this house was completed as it is now 40 years before the beginning of the Revolutionary War.
Yeah.
There was a lot of activity. There were border skirmishes all over the land. The land was deeded in 1680. It was thousands of acres. And it went all the way to the Connecticut border, and it went all the way to the Massachusetts border. And, of course, the Mass Bay Colony was encroaching. They wanted the land that Roger Williams had claimed for himself when he'd been expelled. And Connecticut was encroaching from the west. And so the only way to preserve the colony of Rhode Island was to deed out vast tracts of land and basically create a border. And our vast tract of land happened to be in the northwest corner of the colony, which later became the state of Rhode Island. So this place has a history unlike, there are very few places that still exist in this country that have the kind of history that this home does. So it was a lot to take in. And there were many nights that my sisters would come and crawl into bed with me because they either saw something or heard something. Our beds would move. Almost every night, all of our beds would move, sometimes a few inches, sometimes several feet. When we'd wake up in the morning, the bed that we went to sleep in one location was elsewhere in the bedroom. That was standard operating procedure for them. And I think that it was more a case of they just wanted to make their presence known. But what a formidable presence when they're literally able to manipulate heavy objects. To hear what sounds like a 200-pound oak dresser being dragged across the floor of the room overhead and go upstairs and see that absolutely nothing has been moved, nothing has been changed. There are no gouge marks in the wood of the floor, because that's how it sounded. Like bodies were being dragged, heavy furniture was being dragged, bodies were falling. I mean, the sounds in that house were astonishing in their own right. I have a whole chapter in the first volume called Sounds of Silence, and it got to the point where if we didn't hear strange sounds in the house, that was reason to pause and reflect, because you just didn't know what was coming next.
Now, Andrea, I have a question for you. I've got a few questions people have asked me to ask you, but I've got one I want to ask you for myself.
Okay.
Having looked through your book, you had mentioned that things were going bad where you lived before you moved.
Yes, and
Yeah.
that's why I included, I begin the volume, the first volume, in Cumberland, Rhode Island. A very specific series of incidents occurred over the course of about a year or so prior to my mother finding the farm. And what had been an idyllic neighborhood turned into a raging hellhole. It was an unbelievable transformation occurred in our neighborhood. And things happened that were tragic, horrible, mean-spirited, ugly, criminal, all around us. And my mother began to panic. And all she could think about was, I need to get my girls out of here. I want to raise them in a place in the country. And that's how the book starts, is with the chapter, A Place in the Country, with my mother declaring her intention to the universe that she would extricate her children from this unwholesome environment and move us to a place that was good for us. And that's the irony of
laid
how
plans,
it starts. Huh? Pardon me?
The best laid plans, huh?
Yes, exactly. And the thing is, the main reason that I included those first 60 pages, well, there were two really. One of them is because I wanted to introduce my reader to each member of the family, specifically introduce all the mortal souls, let them know who the Perron family was, and extend a loving hand for them to come on the journey with us. And based on the hundreds, if not thousands of letters I've received pertaining to this specific technique that I used to bring them along as an invitation, I realized that for the most part I did it successfully, because people tell me all the time they feel like they were catapulted back into the 1970s and they lived this experience with us page by page. And so in that respect I am truly gratified. But the other reason that I included the first introduction truly to the book, which is approximately 60 pages, is that about 1.5 to 2 years before my mother even found the farm, my father came home with a beautiful little puppy. She was an African Basenji. And my mom swept this puppy up off the floor and embraced her close to her bosom, and she said, "This is a very special dog. She deserves a very special name." And she looked to the heavens and came right back to us with the name Bathsheba.
Oh.
None of us even knew that. We were little kids. None of us had ever heard that name before. We immediately abbreviated it to Sheba. And she died a horrific death right in front of me.
Now, was this the dog that they portrayed in the movie?
No. Although they did know about Bathsheba. Okay. So perhaps I could be wrong about that. Perhaps that was her, Sophie, the dog that died at the beginning of the film. I don't know. I can't explain how all of the reasoning went between Chad and Carrie Hayes, who were the screenwriters. Mm-hmm. But they called and asked lots of questions. I was very forthcoming with them in many capacities. And even when we went to the set, they called for a script change 3 times that day just by speaking with us. So we did have some impact on the film, and I feel truly grateful that they were so open and warm and receptive, because they could have very easily said, "Yeah, it's your story, but we're telling it our way," and that was not their approach at all.
We've never heard that before, have we, Sean?
Oh no, never. Hollywood always goes right with what you tell them.
So, that's precisely why when I finished the manuscript, it was supposed to be one book. It was simply too big to print as one book. But I put it out to 13 different publishers on both sides of the aisle, and everybody wanted it. But the trade publishers wanted to own the rights to our story. If this had been a piece of fiction, I would have said, "Go ahead and write me a big fat check, and you do whatever you please with it."
Sure.
But that's not the case. This is our intimate family memoir. And so I found myself an excellent independent publisher, Author House. And I've been working with them ever since. And they've been absolutely splendid. I couldn't ask for a better publisher. And I'll tell you what, I have no regrets. I put this book, I am responsible for every single page, for the layout, for the photographs, for everything that you see in these books. I did this myself, for better or for worse. And it is an authentic piece of writing that comes straight from my heart. And it was a trial by fire, but it was a labor of love. And I have no regrets about the approach that I took, because by doing so, I have preserved, protected, and defended my family's right to our own personal story without any interference.
Well, the other questions I had from the listeners, I can put them both together because they're both regarding the movie and like differences between real life and the movie they want to know about. One question was when they show in the movie that when you moved into the house, the basement was boarded up, but the furnace was in the basement. And was that actually how it happened? Was the furnace in the basement boarded up and you couldn't get to it? And the other one was the video that's taken place of being pulled around by the hair. did that video actually get recorded?
No, that didn't happen. We all had our hair pulled in the house at one time or another. In fact, there were some shenanigans that went on in there that were actually dangerous. You know, you go to sit down on a chair and it's suddenly yanked out from underneath you. You know, that's dangerous stuff, and that happened, things like that. But the actual dragging Nancy around the parlor in the house did not occur. The basement, the cellar was not boarded up. It was wide open, and it was an eerie and truly, truly creepy space to go into. And all of the equipment to run the house, the heating unit, the boiler, everything was in the cellar. Interestingly, the spirit that was so enamored with my father would wait until my father was home. He traveled a lot. He wasn't a truck driver as he's portrayed in the film. He actually had his own fine jewelry business, and he traveled and did trunk shows. So he had accounts and people he sold jewelry to, literally all over the eastern seaboard. So it was a lot of times that he... But the only time that anything ever went wrong, per se, in the cellar in terms of the equipment breaking down, my father happened to be home when that happened, and he would go downstairs with his toolbox, and she would run her what he described as icy cold dead fingers over the back of his neck, across his shoulders, and then down his spine. And she did that repeatedly over the 10 years that we lived there. She was repeatedly overt in her affection with him.
Hey, Andrea, I was wanting to ask you, I seen something with the Warrens. It was called, this was an old one from the 80s. It was called America's Most Haunted Places or something like that. And they did a place out here in Indiana. It was the Pink Lady Ghost. I remember because I was like, oh, man, Indiana. And they showed a house out that way. And this could have been you, but it showed a little girl. The Warrens were investigating. They were at a dinner table or kitchen table, and the little girl was trying to do her homework. And the mother was standing behind her holding the chair, and the chair kept rocking back. Was that you guys?
I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, because this would have been from the 70s, this videotape. The little girl was trying to do her homework, and you could clearly see the mother was standing back with her hands off the chair. The only thing she was doing was trying to keep the chair down because the chair was trying to throw the child back. You had just said something about that, and I didn't know. I didn't know if it... As
far as I know,
right.
Warrens came 5 or 6 times to investigate at the property. And they tried over and over again to get us on audio tape and to take video tape and photographs. And at least what I know is that they told my mother everything always came out blank, that they had no recorded evidence of having been at the farm, and that the only way that they ever were able to record any audio of my mother was by having her go to their home in Monroe, Connecticut.
Right. Now, I'm showing a picture to the viewers around the world right now, and it's a tombstone of Bathsheba. It's some pictures from your book, your great book, and the house, the old house with the lady in the old dress standing out there. And somebody said something about she might be wearing a medical mask. Bathsheba seems to be the ringleader here. What's the story? Because in the movie, they say she was from the witch trials, and she was a witch or accused of witchcraft. Could you tell us something about Bathsheba?
At the beginning, they're talking about how it's a ghost, but then they're describing it as a demon. Which was it?
Well, I think that those are separate and distinct entities, to be perfectly honest with you. And I think that, and I really go into great length at this, exploring the concept that Bathsheba got a really bad rap. However, her story, and I'll try to condense it the best that I can. Bathsheba Sherman was born in the late 1700s. She lived until 1812. She was born, and she lived to 1885. That was far beyond the era of the, well, not terribly far, but it was beyond the era of the Salem witch trials. However, she was accused by townsfolk of being a witch because when she was a young woman, like late teens, I believe, she had an infant in her care, and we don't even know if it was her own child or not. She had in life 4 children, and 3 of them died before the age of 4.
Wow.
At the buried beside her tombstone in the center of Harrisville. However, she was accused of practicing witchcraft by the townsfolk because an infant died in her care when she was a young woman. And when the baby's body was examined, it was found to have had a needle impaled at the base of its skull, and the doctor said that it died from convulsions. So there was an inquest. Burrillville was not even incorporated at that time as a town. The inquest was in a neighboring town, Chepachet, Rhode Island, and it never went to trial because there was no evidence that she had deliberately harmed this child. But in the court of public opinion, she was tried and convicted. And apparently, and I have first-hand detail of this from Mr. McEachern, who was an abutting landowner of ours and befriended our family when we first moved there. He told my mother, and he knew Bathsheba when he was a boy. And he said that she was a vicious and vindictive woman, an old, bitter, hateful woman who would beat and starve the indentured servants on the farm that were there building the pasture land and the stone walls, that she had a horrible reputation, and that the word was on her that she had sacrificed this infant to the devil in exchange for eternal youth and beauty. And it was understood that she began to age very rapidly after this event occurred. The women in town hated her. They said she was apparently a raving beauty and that she made the rounds with the men in town. There is absolutely no evidence to support that claim. The men certainly did look at her with rapacious eyes. According to all accounts, she was absolutely lovely. But when she died in 1885, I saw the death record on her, and it said in the margin after the doctor had filled in that she had died, cause of death was paralysis. He wrote in the margin, and this is a quotation, "It is as if her body has turned to stone."
Oh, wow.
Well,
so, again, they kind of came up with their own story of Bathsheba killing her child in 1863. She was a relatively old woman in 1863. She wouldn't even have had a child.
Yeah, how old was your neighbor that told you he knew her?
He was in his, when we met him in 1971, I believe he was 87.
Oh, wow. 87 years old. I tell you what, though, guys, we are at 8:47. We've already kept Andrea over. Sis, we could talk to you all night. We love you. Because, you've had such an experience here, and, some of us, like myself and Nathan, that have experienced things like this, you could talk about it all night, especially a case like yours that you lived through, and you're so lucky. And one thing they always talk about, the people, no experiences now. Same with the Amityville. People move in. The best house in the world. That does not mean that the place is not active. What's your opinions on why that place? I mean, do you buy into the fact that maybe you were like a battery, your family, and when you came in, maybe some preteen girls and all that energy, poltergeist activity type stuff, and boom, it just triggered? Do you think that's it? Everything aligned?
Well, I think that there were so many entities, so many manifestations occurred over the 10-year period of time that we lived in that house, that it is almost impossible to specifically pinpoint who did what. However, there were some things that were very detailed, and one of the reasons why there's even disputes within our own family about who did what is because the apparition that showed itself to my sister Christine, April, and twice to my mother that was so malevolent was the one that neck was obviously broken. Her head looked like a desiccated hornet's nest. When she would manifest in full body form, she had nothing but what looked like brown twigs sticking out of the sleeves of her dress. No feet. She floated. And this is the entity that approached my mother the night that all the other spirits appeared at the same time around her bed. My father was laying in an apparent induced coma beside her. She was literally left to her own devices. Both times that she had these major manifestations in their bedroom, he was right there beside her and could do nothing to help her. She was unable to wake him and, in fact, thought he was dead on both occasions and that she was simply next. But the entity that appeared to her the night of the torches incident came up and spoke in Middle English, which was already out of favor by the time Bathsheba lived in her lifetime. And it began with, "'Twas mistress once afore ye came, and mistress here will be anon. Will drive ye out with fiery broom, will drive ye mad with death and gloom." It was an incantation. It was what you hear practice in witches' covens. You know, over the years you've seen how many movies about witches and what they do, and are often chanting in poetic or lyrical verse. And my mother had to be hypnotized to remember every line of it. What she didn't remember of the incident itself, she was later hypnotized and filled in the blanks. But it's like eight lines, 2 stanzas, or 3 stanzas long. It was just an amazing affront and a threat to her. But it was in an English that was archaic language at the time of Bathsheba Sherman. And also because Mrs. John Arnold hung herself in the barn when she was 93 years old, and that was in the 1700s. And her daughter, I believe it was her daughter, Susan, hung herself in the morning room right off of my bedroom. Not much after that.
Now,
so
how many people
there
actually...
were so many deaths and so many women and so many, you know, it's easy for it to be convoluted. So I do not attribute this, the severity of this haunting specifically to Bathsheba Sherman, because there's so many other possibilities.
One thing like that, what you're describing with the twigs out of the arms, that almost sounds elemental. But
yes.
With the description of like the hangings, how many people actually hang themselves on the property?
There were 2 hangings. There were 2 deaths by drowning. 2 men froze to death on the property. There was Prudence Arnold was murdered. The man who raped and murdered her then used the knife to cut his own throat on the property after he had stolen $2. She was 11 years old when that happened. There were children that died in the house. There was one apparition. My moment of epiphany came when I met myself dressed in 17th century garb the day I'd come home from college and went to warm myself at the fireplace. The whole right side of my body went ice cold. My father saw her beside me and said, "Annie, someone's come to welcome you home." They saw her form at that distance from the dining room where my family was seated at the table, but I'm the only one that saw her face, and she was a mirror image of myself. And she smiled sweetly, and then she just evaporated into the ether, and that was my moment when I realized that I had lived in that house before. And I think that part of the reason why I felt so compelled to finally tell this story, even though it is later in life for me, I didn't even start until I was 49, and we waited a full 3 decades before we even considered telling our story in full. But I hope that it's my liberation, because I don't want to go back and spend another lifetime in that house. I feel like I've done my job now to the best of my ability. If the spirits wanted to be acknowledged, then they have been officially acknowledged.
There you go. Now, hey, sis, I got one more question for you. A lot of people, misconception of the movie, they think you guys ran out kicking and screaming, "Oh, my God, we just had this terrible thing. We're out of here." Now, Keith Johnson came on the show about a week ago, and he told us, in fact, you guys stayed for another 10 years. Is that true?
6 years after the Warrens, after the seance that went so terribly wrong. There was no exorcism in the house. In fact, my uncle, who was a priest at the Vatican. My uncle on my father's side, Uncle Eugene, was a brother of the Sacred Heart that served the Pope directly. Every few years he would come to the United States to visit family in New England. And he came to the farm, and my father wouldn't tell him anything, but my mother told him what was happening. And when he returned to Italy, about 6 weeks after his return, a big, beautiful black Mercedes sedan pulled into the yard, and what I can only describe as a holy man, a man that glowed, stepped out of that vehicle. She immediately offered him entrance to the house. He never introduced himself. He merely asked her if he could walk the house. She gave him permission. He went through every single room in the house and came back down from my stairway from my bedroom into the parlor and walked over to my mother and took her hands in his own and said, "I'm very sorry, Mrs. Perron, this house cannot be cleansed."
So they had a hold on it. That was it. I mean, that was their land, and they had. Now, how did you guys deal with it? Did it kind of calm down, and then it would start back up, and you'd have to do like the Lord's Prayer in each room, and it kind of calmed down again?
No, we lived with it. In fact, when my mother would loudly suggest that we were selling this piece of property, all of us would protest and beg and cry and whatever, because we all loved the house. It did have a hold on all of us. It's amazing. From the moment we all stepped on that property, my mother found it. My father was out of town. She emptied the family bank account and put earnest money down so that no one could buy that farm out from underneath her. And as it turns out, in the 6 months that it was listed before the closing, nobody ever called on the property except my mother. No one, not a single call.
Oh, no. Wow. Wow. And it sat empty probably for a while.
Yeah, no, it didn't. It didn't sit empty until after we left. The budding landowners bought it from my father. The wife of the couple installed her brother to do some carpentry work in the house. And according to some of the budding landowners, the man left screaming with the clothes on his back, left his car, left his tools, left everything, and ran screaming from that house.
Well, I bet that wasn't, whatever's there, I bet wasn't too happy when you guys finally got out of there, because I think it was feeding off you guys. Definitely, right?
Absolutely. I mean, can you imagine? We were bundles of energy. We were all tomboys. And, from the moment we all stepped foot on that property, it was truly as if we knew exactly where we were, that we'd been there 1,000 times before. We knew every square inch of the place. And Mr. Kenyon said, "Go, girls, go play." And we just, boom, we were gone. We were all over that property and knew it very, very well. And I can't explain it, really. I can't, other than there was a sense of familiarity and a familial draw that called us to that house. And then what conspired to get us there, likewise conspired to keep us on that property for 10 years.
Right. Well, Demon Hunter, did you have anything else for Andrea? Because we've kept her about a half hour over what we told her.
Actually, I've got all my questions in, and I'm sure after we hang up, I'll have 100 more. But for now, until we have you on again, I'm set.
I'm sad. Well, sis, I tell you, if you ever need anything, need us for anything, don't hesitate to call. We love you to death. And, before we close, is there any place that these people need to go, G&D Nation, listeners around the world, to get your book? Because you guys got to get it immediately.
Well, Amazon carries it. It's in 25,000 booksellers worldwide. It's easy to get online from virtually anywhere in your own country. For instance, you can get it from Author House UK, who is my publisher in the United States and also in Europe. They're authorhouse.com UK. You can get it, all the Canadian booksellers are carrying it now, and a lot of places, brick and mortar stores. Barnes & Noble is beginning to carry the trilogy in their stores, but it's faster and easier to get it online. And if you want to save a few dollars on it, because it is a big, thick, both volumes are thick and a little pricey. They're $25, $26 a piece. You can save $5 per volume if you buy it directly from Author House. But Amazon also carries it, although they're having trouble keeping up with the printing, and have been sending out apology letters of late. We're out of stock. We'll get it to you as fast as possible. So all I can say is just, all you have to do is Google it, and you can find 100 different places to get it from. Or people can also write to me directly through my Facebook page or at Bathsheba1680@gmail.com, and I will send them inscribed editions as long as it's in the United States.
And there's also the website, www.houseofdarknesshouseoflight.com.
Yes, .com, yes.
.com.
They're omnipresent. Yeah, just Google me. There you are.
You can also go to our webpage, folks, at www.ghostanddemon.com. Click on the picture of Andrea on the poster on the page, and it will take you to the House of Darkness, House of Light page.
Hey, sis, I got one more thing to add, or a question to ask, and then we got to close out. And I'm going to ask you to hold on the line for just like 10 seconds after the show while we close it down. Do you think, because people like you, me, Nathan, and various people around the world, once you peer into the shadows, like you clearly have, something follows you the rest of your life. And every once in a while myself, I'll be sitting down here in studios and I'll hear a whisper, or I'll go to a place, and I just got that feeling that something's followed me from the house I grew up in. What do you think? Or has that spirit, those entities, something followed you?
We found out a big part of Volume 3 is how we thought we had escaped the house, and as my mother said, we left the farmhouse, but it will never leave us.
Okay.
We were followed, even 1,200 miles away to Georgia, which is why the third volume ends in Georgia, and a serious incident that occurred down there. However, I think that once the door of spirit is opened and once you are touched by spirit, it is quite literally a gift that can never be returned. And you can either turn your back on it or you can accept it and embrace it. And that's what I have chosen to do with my life.
Well, sis, it has been an honor and a pleasure on behalf of the G&D show to have you on tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure entirely.
Can you hold on the line for just 1 second?
I sure will.
You know what, G&D Nation, I've heard it said before. It says, regardless if you believe or not, the darkness is always there. And those who dwell within it, wait and watch. And that's always meant something to me because I think they are there. And I think Andrea knows exactly what I'm talking about. Don't you, Andrea?
I do.
Absolutely, guys. It's been a pleasure. Hold on 1 second on the line. We're going to close it down. Demon Hunter.
I'm always ready for the close down.
You're always ready to. You're always ready to close the show out. Hey guys, special thanks to our guest tonight, Andrea Perron. Guys, she's a real life author, lecturer, survivor. Yeah, she is real life. Make sure to check out all our stuff, Amazon, and many more to be up on our website. Special thanks to Creations by Souls Denounced. That's soulsdenounced.com. Special thanks to our band tonight, Twang and Round. Check them out at ReverbNation.com. Midnight Syndicate, thanks for the tunes. Hey, from the haunted back roads of America, this has been another Spook Show exclusive interview. Don't go changing America. You know we won't. Demon Hunter? Okay, we love you guys. Have a great night. See you guys next week. Bye-bye.